that balloon off the coast of South Carolina on February 4th. Intelligence officials have called the Chinese craft a surveillance balloon, while those in the Chinese government claim it was a weather monitoring vessel. But that wasn't the only object taken down this month. U.S. fighter jets shot down 3 other aerial objects over the weekend. Nancy Cordes is at the White House with the latest. Nancy?
John, at this point, U.S. officials still can't say whether these objects belong to China or some other government or even a company or an individual. They say President Biden decided to shoot them down in part because officials could not rule out the possibility that these objects were being used for spying. A mystery in the skies causing confusion on the ground.
What in the world is going on?
The latest objects appeared about a week after the Chinese spy balloon was taken out off the South Carolina coast. On Friday, an object roughly the size of a small car was shot down over sea ice in remote northern Alaska. On Saturday, it was a cylindrical object hovering over Canada's Yukon Territory. And on Sunday, an octagonal object over Michigan's Lake Huron. How big was it?
We're still trying to assess what that was.
That won't be easy until debris from this weekend's objects can be recovered.
We are searching what is a fairly large area.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
There is some sort of pattern in there. The fact that we are seeing this in a significant degree over the past week.
Unlike the Chinese spy balloon, U.S. officials say these objects did not appear to be sending any communication signals or possess any maneuvering or propulsion capabilities.
Likely hypothesis is that they were being moved by the prevailing winds.
But at 20 to 40,000 feet, they did pose a potential risk to civil aviation, according to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin.
And I want to reassure Americans that these objects do not present a military threat to anyone on the ground.
The Chinese government claimed today that the U.S. had flown more than 10 high-altitude balloons into their airspace since last year. U.S. officials quickly denied it. Despite heavy seas, the Navy has now recovered a 30 to 40-foot chunk of the Chinese balloon's antenna array from the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. As for the other mystery objects, U.S. officials have ruled out one possibility.
There is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. And it was important for us to say that from here because we've been hearing a lot about it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Nubian Public Podcast. My name is Tawan the Don. And I just had to start that off with that news excerpt. And it's crazy. I mean, it is really... The government must think we're stupid or something. I'm not understanding this. They now are saying that it could be extraterrestrial. Do you see how fast they denied that? And just very quickly said, we have no evidence that this is extraterrestrial. Do you really just see how quick they just threw that out there? And the reason I'm starting to show off with this particular piece is yesterday I was recording a show, 2 hours, mind you, and I had touched on this subject. Me and my co-host had touched on this subject of these flying objects flying over the United States all of a sudden, 3-4 days in a row, like this stuff is just popping up in our skies. And the fact that they're saying, all of them are from China instead of just that one. They're spying on us. These are some super large, high altitude balloons. You notice no one has even mentioned anything about a possibility of it being a United States weather balloon or something, Usually when UFOs or something are spotted, the government is quick to say, oh, it was just a weather balloon. Or one of the colleges or universities are, conducting some experiment, yada, 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 whatever. No, you're not hearing that now. So, yeah, I had to get this little piece of news in there because it just really pissed me off that my whole show yesterday was flagged and deleted because of touching on this subject and giving my own opinion and giving our own opinions about what is really, what is really going on with these flying objects. You know, these balloons. What are they? Where are they coming from? What are they for? So yeah, I just had to touch on that. The more I talk about it, the more I still get heated, and it just befuddles and baffles me the length that our country will go to cover up stuff. I'll tell you, I'm not buying it. If it is China, okay, oh well, send some balloons over there, spy on them, do something, but just stop covering shit up. Don't you think we deserve to know what's going on? We're living here. We need to know what's going on. Nubian Public Podcast. We'll be right back. Nubian Public Podcast. Welcome back to the show, Nubian Public Podcast. And I'd like to thank you all for listening and tuning in. It has been a crazy week here in this big plateau called the Midwest. It's been real crazy. The news with our officers being shot, our young black men being shot and killed, which is going to be an ongoing topic of discussion, because it seems like we as a Nubian people don't know how to put the weapons down, don't know how to go in the street and fist fight anymore. Does that even exist? I think not. Instead of, taking it out back in the alley and having a little boxing match, 5-10 minutes, you lose, you win. But the point is, nobody's life was taken. You shake it up, dust it off, and go to the liquor store and grab a 4-pack. Call it a day. Guess what? You'll be alive to do it again tomorrow. Whatever happened to going to the gym, going to the boxing gym, getting in the ring, suiting up, taking out all your aggressions on each other? The easiest thing for somebody to do is grab a gun and pull a trigger. The easiest thing. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. I don't think you heard me. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. And another thing I heard somebody, multiple people I've heard say this. Instead of locking everybody up, put their ass on a plane, on a big ass cargo plane, and send them overseas to fight in a war. Have them go help out Ukraine. How would that work? Go help out Ukraine. They'll give you all the guns you want. They'll give you all the weapons you want. And you get on the front lines and help out the Ukrainian president. But the United States are spending billions of dollars to send over war equipment But at the same time, the courts are overdrawn here. The prisons are overpacked. Caseloads are stacked. Not enough attorneys to help out pending convictions of senseless violence. I mean, that's a remedy right there. Send their ass overseas and let them act out their war fantasy instead of acting it out on their own people in their own country. Never made any sense to me. I don't think it will ever make any sense to anyone. To anyone. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's really wild. It's really wild. And given our situation here with the weather, one day it's sunny. Let me tell you, this is the warmest winter I think we've ever experienced, at least in my 44 years of living. I've never went through 3/4 of a winter where there was 30s and 40s and a few 50s. From October to February, I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love it. But it makes you think, what the hell is really going on with our climate? What is being released in those Navy high altitude aircrafts and these chemtrails that is just put a damper on what a true season in the Midwest is supposed to be? I remember growing up as a child, snow came up to your hip. We didn't have too many snow days, so we had to walk to school in this. Granted, school was just a few blocks away, but that was a true winter. That was a true winter solstice season. There was no 45 degrees and rain in December. There was no 52 degrees with rain showers in February. There was none of that. That's when the cold was cold. So again, it makes you wonder, what in the hell is the military doing with our climate? It's fascinating, but scary at the same time. Makes you wonder again, too, with the CERN machine that they have, that they are experimenting with these hundreds of antennas laid out in a pattern in the desert, pointed directly to the atmosphere. You know, you're putting holes in clouds, and you know, what are you doing? You got to live here. But scientists, come on, not all of you, but most of you already think that you're God. You don't believe that there's a God because science is science, and science cannot be disproven. There is no intelligent being. Well, how the hell did you get here? I didn't crawl up out no sea. I didn't crawl up out no body of water and develop legs and develop lungs and started breathing. I didn't do none of that. It's an intelligent design. We were placed here. Furthermore, don't think that we're the only intelligence in this vast amount of universe that we have, and we're just one of billions of universes, most of which will never be discovered. Never be discovered. Even if they are discovered, by the time the signal and pictures get back to Earth, my generation, my grandkids' generation, and their kids' generation will already have been died off. So what are you really trying to explore? And I don't think we should be up there messing around in the first place. You're building a space force. It's one idiotic thing that Donald Trump did that really, again, made no sense. We're going to build a space force. We're going to have the best space defense that there is. Stop it, dude. What do you need a space force for? What do you need an international space station for? Why do people need to live in space? What are you studying? There's nothing up there for you. If the Creator wanted us to be up in space, He would have given us the opportunity to get there ourselves, naturally. We would be able to use 100% of the God brain that we have, and we could just teleport naturally. If other planets were meant to be inhabited, don't you think we'd be there already? I mean, it's just a rant. It's just a rant. It's a lot of stuff that bothers me. It's a lot of stuff that makes absolutely no sense to me. I swear. We have no business being there. None. None. And each time you leave the Earth and go into space, don't you think you're punching a hole in our atmosphere? If you even go to space, I mean, if you even go, you're probably in a Universal Studios somewhere, just like the moon landing. Come on, you're in a studio in the Arizona desert somewhere, claiming that it's the surface of Mars or it's the surface of the moon because there's red clay soil on Mars, supposedly, that it matches the desert perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a production team and a camera crew and go out to the desert and record this video. Put it on TV and let the stupid people just say, hey, they went out of space. That shows you how much your government thinks of you people. Come on. That shows how much the government thinks of their own country. To sit there and pull the wool over somebody's eyes, and they fall for it. They fall for it. Yet you sit there and just kiss the government's ass like they're not covering things up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Nubian Nation, welcome back to the Nubian Public Podcast. Glad to have you here. Yes. Thank you for joining me again. While I vent, I had some guests due to come on today, but due to some unfortunate circumstances, they were unable to make it. So sorry to hear that. Hope your situation gets better, and we will book you for another day. And then coming up this weekend, post-Valentine weekend. Join myself and two of my co-hosts for a roundtable discussion rounding out the topics of the week. That's always going to be interesting. We're going to have a few of those throughout the upcoming months, so just stay tuned for that. Those discussions are unedited, uncensored, and they can get a little heated. Not in a bad way, but they can get exciting. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that as well. Coming up in the month of March, we're also going to be having a rifle. I have a few of those. We're gonna be holding some raffles and seeing what we are going to be giving away is kind of still in the works here, but one lucky winner will receive a full grand prize. And right now I'm thinking that would be, I'm trying to sidestep a lot of this because I don't want to really give it away, but screw it. One lucky winner will have the chance to have myself come to wherever you are and put together your own podcast recording studio. I have some equipment here that is brand new that I do not use, and there's no point in just sitting there in the studio and looking at this equipment and not letting someone else put it to use as we are doing now. So stay tuned for that in the month of March 2023. Again, we'll be holding a raffle, and one lucky winner will have a chance to have me there and putting together their own podcast studio. So again, you keep that locked. Also coming up in April as well, we are going to be putting together a Black cruise. I've always wanted to do that because other hosts have been, not hosts, but other personalities has been putting together some Black cruises. And I thought it would actually be fun to actually do that. Mine, I was thinking, would be a little different. Instead of, cruising around to the Bahamas and things like that, let's go somewhere where they don't want us to go just to piss them off. Right? And have fun while we're doing it, right? I'm talking about let's go up to to the North Pole, or let's go down to, the South Pole, or come back up to Antarctica, or, go up to Greenland or something and just chill, book that and live like superstars for a week, There's no sense of not living your life. You only live once. Might as well enjoy it while you have it. So that was just a few brainstorms from me that is possibly going to be coming up here in the year 2023. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. So I'm loving it, though. I'm loving it. And again, I'm really appreciating the feedback, actually, that I'm getting here from you guys as well. So yeah, next week I'll be reading some of the feedback that I'm getting here. And just shows the appreciation that I get. It really, really is overwhelming. So now the Midwest News Minute. Asteroid hits Earth in magnificent spectacle over Europe. Wow, really? Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania, the worst Marvel film yet? Really? And a Michigan State shooter who killed 3 students, injured 5, identified. we'll let you know who that is. We're going to start it off with this Michigan State shooter. That, again, I guess it was at Michigan State University, if I'm saying that right. I mean, this guy just went just real bogus. 3 students have been killed and 5 are in critical condition following a shooting on the Michigan State University campus in East Lansing on Monday night. The shooter has been identified by police as Anthony McRae, 43. Now, they're not saying if this is a black male or a white male. McRae was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after opening fire at Berkeley Hall in the MSU Union Student Center. The motive for the MSU shooting still remains unknown. And actually, this is a black man. What were you thinking, brother? The brother of Michigan State University gunman Anthony McRae said Tuesday that McRae changed after their mom died in September of 2020. My condolences. And stopped taking care of himself. He lived a sheltered world. Michael McRae told Fox News Digital on Tuesday afternoon. He started changing. He was getting more and more bitter and angry. I'm asking him, what's on your mind? But he would never talk to me. McRae opened fire inside an academic hall on campus on Monday evening, killing 3 students and critically wounding 5 others, according to police. He was located later off campus, deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after an hours-long manhunt. Michigan State University police identified the 3rd student who was killed in Monday's shooting as Ariel Anderson, a junior from the Detroit suburb of Grosse Pointe. Brian Fraser, a sophomore also from Grosse Pointe, and Alexandria Werner, a junior from Clawson, were previously identified as the other 2 deceased victims. Wow. John Dean, the superintendent of the Grosse Pointe Public School System, said that he first learned about the shooting while at school board meeting on Monday evening. How is this possible? Quoting, how is this possible that this happened in the first place? An act of senseless violence that has no place in our society and in particular no place in school, Dean said at a press conference that was held on Tuesday. President Biden released a statement Tuesday saying he and First Lady Jill Biden are praying for the 3 students killed and the 5 students fighting for their lives after last night's shooting at Michigan State University. Our hearts are with these young people, these young victims and their family. The broader East Lansing and Lansing communities and all Americans across the country grieving as the result of gun violence, Biden goes on to say. Biden says he has spoken with Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and directed the development of all necessary federal law enforcement to support local and state response efforts. Too many, and I quote, American communities have been devastated by gun violence, Biden continued. Quoting, I have taken action to combat this epidemic in America, including a historic number of executive actions in the first significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years. But we must do more. Continuing, the fact that this shooting took place the night before this country marks 5 years since the deadly shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, should cause every American to exclaim enough and demand that Congress take action. Now, these are the words of Biden. Yeah, you're calling it a pandemic, epidemic, whatever you call it. Not once did anyone send out their condolences for that mentally ill Nubian man that shot and killed himself. his family's grieving. They lost their mother, which sent him over the edge. And trust me, I know how that feels. Losing your loved one like that, that will really send you over the edge. Especially losing your mother, the backbone of everything that you stand for. It was her time, and now she's with God. Continuing with CBS News, here we go. Asteroid hits Earth in magnificent spectacle over Europe. While the U.S. was busy celebrating the Super Bowl on Sunday night, Europeans had their own spectacle. Early Monday morning, a bright flash streaked across the skies over Western Europe as an asteroid discovered just hours earlier made its impact with Earth's atmosphere. So we were so engrossed over here in this country with regards to the Super Bowl that this potentially deadly asteroid that impacted with us could have ended all life as we know it. Could have ended it. But we were so engrossed in the Super Bowl, this was not even on the radar in this country. I could be overspeaking here. Somebody could have known about it in this country. I didn't. This is my first time hearing about this. I would have rather been keeping an eye on this thing than watching the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say about the Super Bowl. I'm just not feeling that one either. It's another show. The asteroid, dubbed Star 2667, was first detected on the evening of February 12th by astronomer, I'm just going to say Czarnecki, K. Czarnecki, in Hungary. He told Space.com that he found the asteroid during a routine near-Earth object hunt using a 2-foot telescope. And he goes on to say, and I quote, "It was immediately obvious that it was an NEO, which is a near-Earth object, or NEO, near-Earth object. But it wasn't particularly fast across the sky," he said, "as it was heading right toward us, and it was faint." This was discovered February 12th. The Super Bowl was on the 12th, but this was discovered hours ahead of time, which could have been broadcast on some type of news, some type of social media, something, but you'd rather the world focus its attention on a recreational sport instead of possibly hunting down this doomsday object or this NEO. That's wild. Priorities with this country is just not where it needs to be. Not only this country, the priorities of this world is where it is not. It's not where it needs to be. Finally, from the BBC, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, dubbed the worst Marvel film yet. And this is from the British. This is from their Culture magazine. And it's called, oddly enough, the BBC Culture. Let's begin. The latest film about the minuscule superhero sets up. Let's see here. Notice how you read something, right? And your computers and things just shut down. That is crazy to me. We might have to hold off on this Ant-Man story, because obviously it's something that they don't want you to know about. My whole internet just dropped out on me, y'all. This is what I say. I consider myself an electronic genius. Yes, I do. But when things like this just pops up out the blue, nothing was wrong with my internet all day. Nothing. Nothing was wrong with my internet for the past week. I just had everything serviced. And as I began talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, it just shuts down on me. Seriously? Let's try this again. The latest film about the minuscule superhero sets up Marvel's next big villain. But other than that, it has nothing to offer beyond drab-looking action, writes Karen James of the BBC Culture. That was kind of harsh. Let's see. It says, it's a rule of superhero movies that they must culminate in an overlong action sequence with bodies and weapons crashing around everywhere. Now imagine if that sequence were the whole movie, but with unsuspenseful, drab-looking action. Harsh. Very harsh. There you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania, or Quantumania. The latest and possibly lamest installment in the usually reliable Marvel Cinematic Universe. The heart of Ant-Man, which appeared in 2015, and Ant-Man and the Wasp, which appeared in 2018, was Paul Rudd as Everyman Scott Lang, who puts on his special suit and shrinks into the minuscule Ant-Man, or as I like to think of him, the littlest Avenger. This is quoting from Karen James. It says that this third film throws all of that to the birds. The character is no more than a prop in a plot that sets up the next big Marvel villain, and it does it without a jolt of energy. There you have it. That movie was just summed up right there. I have not seen it, but given the review that Miss James just gave from the BBC Culture Mag and Culture Review and BBC.com, I don't think I want to see it. What about you? Thanks for listening. That was all from Now, the Midwest News Minute. Stay tuned. I'd like to thank you all for joining me this day for this half hour of the Milwaukee Public Radio and the Nubian Public Podcast half hour edition of my commentary. Please continue to listen and please continue to join in, as we really do appreciate your listening. As always, stay safe, keep God first, love one another, and as always, forgive. This has been your man, Mantry, Tuan the Don. God bless you.